And she decided, well, you're my husband, not my father. And she decided that she was going to go visit her mother. She took the baby in the carriage and started off to visit her mother. Before she knew it, she was falling down. She had taken the baby, so she continued to walk, and before she knew it again, he was on her with a brick in his hand against her head, until somebody of the neighbors came along and yanked her off. What I'm seeing is a tremendous amount of this from a psychologist's point of view, and if I see someone who's in a category like this, you talk about trauma, this is the clear essence of trauma, which is tantamount to psychosis, and this in essence is a game.
What the premise of the book is a game?
That's it. It's entirely a game.
What?
All right. Now, wait, there's a person in the audience seems upset with what he said. What?
Excuse me. Yeah, let me tell you something. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for writing the book, and you're a very beautiful woman. Yeah, I got to say that, number one. Number two, just like the sister said, I got the book. I have the book, all right? First of all, she said she's not blaming all black women because you got just as much bad black women like you have bad black men. Right. The point is this. That is, it's just a lot of black, not all, but a lot of y'all sisters, black sisters, you labor under the misconception that you walk around with halo and wings 24/7. That's why she wrote the book.
Aviola Sinclair from the Amsterdam News, your response?
Well, first of all, let me say this. Let me qualify myself. There is some truth to the book. Excuse me. I will say there is some truth. I recognize some of myself, and I recognize some people that I know. I disagree with the premise of the book, I disagree with the agenda of the book, and I disagree with the overall inclination of the book to undermine the black woman, to rob her of her self-confidence, to excessively blame her for societal problems that are not of her control. The black woman has, at very least, carried this race. For several generations. And if she's stumbling and if she's falling now, it's because she's tired. And yes, she does need some help, but she needs the type of positive help and not no one to put their foot on her neck or on her head and tell them that he's a God and he's her ruler and he's her master and she must do as he says.
Shahrazad?
One of the reasons it's possible for us to always fall back on that we are the so-called backbone of the black nation is because we have been provided with more benefits in this society than the black man. And so as a result of us being provided with those benefits and being set up to make it appear as if we are carrying our nation on, it's incorrect. There's not any doubt in any other nationality that the backbone of their nation is the men of their nation, except in the black community.
There is, however, Shahrazad, it seems to me on my reading of the book, and I'm going to direct this again to Ariola just before I get to Playfell, sorry. There seems almost an insulting tone specifically directed against, or one of the many controversial passages, women like yourself who have their hair stylized in braids or so-called cornrows or who wear traditional garb. It goes so far as to say that that is an excuse for not showering and shampooing. It's bad sanitation. I have never in my life seen anything like that, absent, I must say, writings from the KKK or some white racists.
May I say something?
How do you read it, Ariola, and then I'll let Shahrazad respond.
Well, that's what ticked me off when I was reading the book. I was saying, well, okay. Till I got to that point. Then I said, what? Because I wash my feet and I oil them and I wash my hair and I'm very particular about how I look and how I smell. And most of the Afrocentric sisters that I know are fashion plates. What we're trying to do is to set up a new aesthetic. What we're trying to do is say that some of us, when you put us in Western clothes, we look almost ugly. Now, I don't want to use that word because there's no ugly person, but we don't look like ourselves. When we wear our African attire, it tends to accent other things and makes us look much more acceptable and much more beautiful. Not just women, men also, I feel. So that's my point, and I took exception
Okay,
with
I
that.
have to take our first break. As you know, we have to have commercials in this program. Then Shahrazad responds, and then Playfell will bring you into the game. 2 minutes, we'll be right back. Is it possible, Shahrazad, that you have made certain passages intentionally inflammatory to make a point?
Well, absolutely not. Certainly, a lot of the truth of any people is very painful. As I said, this is in response to what Sister was saying. This is not the kind of book you need to rush home and try to read all in one night. You'll get overwhelmed. Read a little bit, put it down, and go back and try to read some more. The book is clearly our collective contribution as black women of everything we have learned from our slave history that impacts negatively on the relationships with our men. It's just everything that we do.
Was it necessary to make that point about sanitation and
odor?
Well,
let's go with the thing. The issue about the dreadlocks, which is what you're referring to, I'm sure, it started out certainly as being a very powerful point that a lot of women made, but that's just merely a medical fact. I studied the dreadlock under the microscope and found that no matter how much you washed it, it had parasites and mites in it, and the people's hair would come out and everything else. Now, if anybody want to do that, go check it.
Playfell, do you want to try to deal with that?
Yeah. Listen,
Quiet, please.
First of all, let me say, Geraldo, I get invited to these kind of shows all the time because I write a lot of controversial stuff, but I assiduously avoid these kind of programs for the simple reason that there's not really enough time in here to have any kind of measured discussion that I like to have. But nevertheless, the reason I came on here is because I have seen Miss Ali on several other programs. And I have her on tape, and I've watched them over and over again. I have read the book. And I would just like to say something I'd like to speak from two perspectives. Miss Ali, from everything I have heard from her, wrote this book based upon her experiences and her conversations. As a scholar, when I look at this book, it has none of the attributes that we look for in a scholarly work. There's no scholarship and what I can see as nothing of serious intellectual lasting value here. You understand? And I have two beautiful, smart daughters whom, if any man uses this book, now, hold on a minute. If any man uses the prescriptions in this book, it is a prescription for disaster. I will tell my daughters, if anybody ever smacked them in the mouth, come tell Daddy. I'll deal with it. See? I'll deal with it.
I certainly agree with that last sentence.
That's where I'm at.
There are two things we need to realize here. One of them is that we have a problem with behavior definition and interpretation. We look in the mirror and see ourselves as one way, and the black man looks at us and sees what's in my book. Now, the other thing is that our so-called educated class has failed us.
Yes, they have.
All right? Now, they have failed us because in all of their so-called scholarly studies and journals, none of them as a group have ever come up with something to put the agenda like this book
and tell us why you agree.
Yeah, my name is Saeed Saladin, and I agree with 100%. And one of the things I would like to say is the reason why so many young people are reading that book, and a lot of y'all are reading the book, is because it's not scholarly, it's right to the point. Now, I would like to also say, as it relates to violence, okay, my wife, ex-wife, was the first one to slap the living Star Wars out of me. All right? I'm laying down on the couch, and she slapped them Star Wars out of me. Now, she may have had a reason. Now, how was I to respond? How was I to respond? Should I respond the way I do another brother if he slapped me in my face? Should I use the closed fist, or should I have smacked her? Because I'm going to do something.
What'd you do?
The point that I'm not going to say. But the point, I'll say one thing. I walked around my house for about 1 hour. You know, but I would like to also say this is one thing.
All right, let me just say that if I smack my wife, my bed would be burning.
All right, I agree. Hurry up. One last principle. There's an old ancient feminist principle from the great mother principle, and they said that there was only two people in this world, a mother and her children. Now, if that is true, and one of the children is out of order, who do you blame? And I think it's an honor if I was a woman and all the blame was coming at me, as some of y'all say. I would take it as an honor because it shows my responsibility. Like if a building, not for
Don't you think it's a bit of a cop-out that he doesn't tell us what he did after the one hit him? Give me 2 minutes, we'll be right back. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is this inflammatory? Is this to the point?
I agree. I think it's to the point.
And you are?
I don't agree with everything in there. I'm J.R. Long. I don't agree with everything in there. And I think it's upsetting for me to see points being taken out of perspective. The point regarding hitting in the mouth, It's an optional point. It's one of 6. Now, it's one of 6